The arrival. The crystalline spires of Nexarian Station Alpha glittered like frozen flames against the backdrop of the Violet Nebula. Commander Tsara Vex stood at her observation post, her translucent body pulsing with subtle bioluminescence as she monitored the sector's defensive grid. The Nexarians had maintained this region of space for millennia, their advanced technological achievements built upon their unique ability to channel and manipulate quantum energies through their crystalline forms. The alert came without warning. Every crystal panel in the command center flared crimson, and the quantum resonance detectors screamed in frequencies that made Vex's entire form vibrate with discomfort. Unidentified vessel emerging from hyperspace, announced Sub-Commander Crix, his crystalline appendages trembling slightly. Configuration unknown. Scale unprecedented. The vessel that materialized before them seemed to defy the laws of physics. Nearly 3 kilometers in length, its obsidian hull absorbed rather than reflected light, making it appear like a starship-shaped void in space. Angular plates of armor shifted and realigned as it decelerated, and what appeared to be weapon ports dotted its surface in precise, geometric patterns. "It's human," Vex announced, her voice carrying the weight of dread. The Nexarians had avoided direct contact with humans for decades, observing from afar as the younger species expanded across the galaxy with remarkable speed. Their short lifespans seemed to drive them to accomplish in years what took other species centuries, and their adaptability made them unpredictable. Battle stations, raise quantum shields. But before they could complete their defensive preparations, a transmission cut through their communications network with ease. The holographic projection that materialized showed a human male with weathered features and eyes that seemed to hold the weight of countless battles. "This is Admiral Marcus Torres of the Earth Strategic Forces vessel Hyperion. We come with urgent warning and offer of assistance. Your sector is in imminent danger." Vex's first instinct was to dismiss the warning as a pretext for invasion, but something in the human's tone gave her pause. "This is restricted space under the protection of the Galactic Confederation. Your presence here violates 17 separate treaties." "Commander," Torres replied, his expression grim, "in approximately 43 minutes, a cascade of quantum fractures will tear through this sector. We've been tracking them across 12 systems. They've already destroyed 3 populated worlds. Your quantum manipulation technology makes you particularly vulnerable. We need to begin evacuation immediately." The claim seemed absurd. Nexarian quantum sensing technology was the most advanced in known space. If such a threat existed, they would have detected it. And yet, there had been disturbing anomalies in their long-range scans over the past few cycles, patterns that defied their understanding. "Proving our claim," Torres continued, sending a data burst that automatically translated into crystalline format. The information contained within made Vex's entire form pulse with shock. The humans had somehow developed sensors that could detect quantum instabilities at a level that exceeded even Nexarian capability. "Even if what you say is true," Vex responded, "evacuation is impossible. We have over 15,000 civilians in this station, and our nearest safe harbor is beyond the range of our evacuation ships." A slight smile crossed Torres's face. "That's why we're here. The Hyperion was specifically designed with multi-species evacuation capabilities. We've already configured our life support systems to maintain your crystalline forms. We can save everyone, but only if we start now." As if to emphasize his point, the first quantum tremor rippled through the station. Subtle at first, but Vex could feel it in her crystalline matrix, the beginning of something catastrophic. Their own sensors were finally starting to detect what the humans had warned about, and the readings were terrifying. "Sub-Commander Crix, begin immediate evacuation procedures," Vex ordered. "Priority to the young and the seed-bearers." She turned back to Torres. "We accept your assistance, Admiral, and thank you." What followed was a masterclass in human efficiency and adaptation. The Hyperion shuttles, piloted by both humans and advanced AI systems, navigated the crystalline docking arrays with impossible precision. Human evacuation teams worked seamlessly with Nexarian organizers, quickly developing a sign language to overcome communication barriers when translation systems proved too slow. Vex found herself working directly with Taurus's first officer, Commander Elena Patel, whose quick thinking saved an entire section of residential crystals when a quantum surge threatened to shatter them. The human's ability to think and adapt on the fly was unlike anything Vex had ever witnessed. As the final evacuees were secured aboard the Hyperion, Vex stood with Taurus in the ship's observation deck, watching as the first major quantum fractures began to tear through space. The station that had been her home for over 3 centuries began to break apart, the crystalline structures shattering like dreams. "Your people's technology is remarkable," Vex observed, studying the human vessel's quantum dampening systems that kept them safe from the destruction. "But what I find more remarkable is that you came at all. Our species have never had formal contact. We've given you no reason to risk yourselves for us." Taurus turned to her, his expression serious but kind. "Humanity learned long ago that the galaxy is too vast and too dangerous for any species to face it alone. We don't need a reason to help. The only reason we'd need is to justify not helping when we could." As the quantum cascade reached its peak, transforming the entire sector into a maelstrom of fractured spacetime, Vex realized that perhaps her people's cautious isolation had been a mistake. The humans' reckless determination to help others, their ability to adapt and overcome, their willingness to face impossible odds, these weren't weaknesses to be feared, but strengths that all species could learn from. The Hyperion's engines hummed to life, carrying its combined crew of humans and Nexarians away from the destruction. But Vex knew this was just the beginning. The quantum fractures were spreading, threatening more worlds, more species, and as she watched humans and Nexarians already beginning to work together, sharing knowledge and techniques, she understood that this crisis might forge something unprecedented. A true alliance between their peoples. In the face of cosmic destruction, they had found something greater than survival. They had found unity. Hidden threats. The Hyperion's quantum analysis lab hummed with an otherworldly energy as Commander Elena Patel studied the holographic display before her. Beside her, Commander Tsara Vex's crystalline form pulsed with subtle patterns of light as they both examined the data from the quantum fractures that had destroyed the Nexarian station. "There's a pattern here," Elena muttered, her dark eyes narrowed in concentration. "These aren't random quantum instabilities. Look at the fractal progression." She gestured at the 3-dimensional display, where lines of force twisted in impossible geometries. Vex's crystalline appendages shifted, refracting light in complex patterns that the human scientists had learned indicated deep thought. Impossible. These energy signatures, they're artificial. The lab door hissed open as Admiral Torres strode in, his face grave. "We've detected another cascade forming in the Helios sector. 3 million inhabitants, mostly Drachnid colonists." He paused, studying the holographic display. "Tell me you found something." Elena manipulated the display, overlaying the patterns from multiple cascade events. "Sir, Commander Vex and I believe these quantum fractures are being artificially generated. The energy signatures are too precise, too structured. Someone is weaponizing quantum instabilities." The implications were staggering. The Nexarians were the acknowledged masters of quantum manipulation technology, but even they couldn't create disturbances of this magnitude. Or so they had thought. "Admiral," Vex's voice carried an unusual harmonic that the humans had learned signified urgent concern. "My people have ancient records of similar patterns. They're referenced in warnings about the precursor artifacts we're forbidden to study." Taurus's expression hardened. The precursors, the species that vanished 50,000 years ago. The mysterious ancient race had left ruins and artifacts scattered across the galaxy, most of them under strict quarantine by mutual agreement of all spacefaring species. "Yes," Vex confirmed, her form dimming slightly. "But these records were sealed by the quantum ecclesiasts. Even as a command-level officer, I only knew of their existence. I never knew the contents until—" She paused, her crystalline structure flickering with uncertainty. "Until what?" Elena pressed gently. "Until I saw these patterns in your data. They triggered something, a genetic memory encoded in our crystalline matrix. My ancestors encountered something similar, something that nearly shattered our entire civilization." Before anyone could respond, the ship's AI interrupted. "Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Strategic Command. Security level ultra black." Torres moved to a secure terminal, his security implants glowing as they interfaced with the system. His face went ashen as he read. "A Nexarian research facility in the outer rim just went dark. Not destroyed. Dark. All quantum signatures simply vanished. As if something is absorbing them." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Like a quantum sink? That's theoretically impossible. It would violate multiple laws of physics." Torres finished. "Just like the cascades we've been chasing. Commander Vex, we need access to those sealed records. If the precursors built weapons that could manipulate quantum forces at this level—" Vex's form pulsed with conflicting patterns. "The records are protected by our most sacred laws. Accessing them without the consent of the quantum ecclesiasts would be less of a crime than letting billions die." Elena interjected softly. "Sometimes we have to break the rules to save lives." The crystalline alien turned to her, studying her with sensory organs that perceived quantum states humans could only measure with advanced instruments. "You suggest I commit heresy to save lives. That is very human of you." "Sometimes being human means making impossible choices," Torres said. "We break the rules not because we disrespect them, but because we respect life more." Vex was silent for a long moment, her crystalline form shifting through complex patterns of light. Finally, she spoke. "There is a way. The genetic memories in my crystalline matrix, they're not just recordings. They're quantum entangled echoes of the past. With your quantum scanning technology and my people's ability to channel these energies—" She paused. "It would be dangerous. The process could shatter my form if not properly controlled." Elena stepped forward. "I'll help you. We've been studying how your quantum manipulation abilities work. Between your knowledge and our technology, we can find a safe way." Torres nodded grimly. "Do it. But be careful. We're not sacrificing anyone today." He turned to leave, then paused. "And Commander Vex, thank you. I know what this means for you and your people." As the Admiral left, Elena and Vex began preparing for the dangerous procedure that would unlock ancient memories. The Hyperion's engines thrummed as they raced toward the darkened research facility, each moment bringing them closer to either answers or annihilation. "Why do you humans do this?" Vex asked suddenly. "Take such risks for others, break your own rules, challenge the impossible." Elena smiled as she calibrated the quantum scanning array. "Because someone has to. Because every time we faced extinction, it was our willingness to try the impossible that saved us, and because we've learned that the rules that truly matter aren't the ones written in books or coded into law. They're the ones written in our hearts, telling us to help others even when it costs us everything." Vex's form, pulsed with what Elena had learned, was the equivalent of understanding. Perhaps that is why the precursors left their warnings. Not just about their weapons, but about the importance of having the courage to face them. She moved into position as the scanning array powered up. "Let us hope your human courage is enough for what we're about to learn." The lab's lights dimmed as power was diverted to the quantum scanners. In the darkness, Vex's crystalline form began to glow with ancient memories, and Elena prepared to witness secrets that had been hidden for 50,000 years. Whatever they would learn, one thing was certain. The alliance between humans and Nexarians was about to be tested in ways neither species had imagined. The chase. The quantum scanning chamber pulsed with ethereal light as Commander Vex's crystalline form resonated with ancient memories. Commander Elena Patil monitored the readings with intense focus, making micro-adjustments to keep the delicate procedure stable. Around them, the Hyperion's quantum lab had been transformed into a hybrid of human and Nexarian technology. Crystalline interfaces merged with holographic displays. Suddenly, Vex's form flared with brilliant light, and images began cascading through the holographic displays. Fragments of memories, quantum-encoded data preserved across millennia, flooded the sensors. Elena's eyes widened as she witnessed the impossible. Scenes from 50,000 years ago, when the precursors still walked among the stars. Recording all frequencies, Elena announced, her fingers dancing across control surfaces. Quantum coherence at 97%. The images stabilized, showing massive structures that defied physics. Vast crystalline arrays that seemed to fold space itself, devices that manipulated the quantum fabric of reality. But more chilling were the scenes of destruction. Entire star systems twisted into impossible geometries, space itself shattered like broken glass. Vex's voice emerged, resonating with ancient harmonics. They called it the Quantum Forge, a network of devices spread across the galaxy, designed to reshape reality itself. But something went wrong. The network became unstable, began to tear apart the quantum foundation of spacetime. The procedure ended abruptly as Vex's form dimmed, her crystalline structure trembling from the strain. Elena quickly adjusted the quantum field to help stabilize her friend's matrix. Easy there. Take a moment to reintegrate. Admiral Torres, who had been watching from the observation area, stepped forward. Did you see where they built these devices? How they were controlled? Before either could respond, the ship's AI cut in with urgent news. Multiple quantum signatures detected. 3 vessels have dropped out of hyperspace. Nexarian warships. Torres rushed to the bridge. Elena and Vex closed behind. On the main view screen, 3 crystalline vessels approached, their designs more angular and aggressive than typical Nexarian ships. Quantum Ecclesiast's enforcement fleet, Vex announced, her voice carrying harmonics of dread. They must have detected the genetic memory access. The lead vessel transmitted immediately. This is High Inquisitor Mix. You have violated our most sacred laws. Commander Vex, you are charged with heresy. Humans, you will surrender her immediately or face destruction. Torres stood firm at the command center. This is Admiral Torres. We're investigating a threat that could destroy civilization itself. Surely that takes precedence over. You know nothing of what you meddle with, Mex interrupted. The knowledge was sealed for a reason. Submit to judgment or be destroyed. Elena stepped forward. Admiral, the genetic memory showed coordinates. A precursor facility in the Denebola Void. If we can reach it. You will not. Mix's voice reverberated with harmonic fury. The Ecclesiast ships began charging weapons, their crystalline hulls glowing with quantum energy. Battle stations, Torres ordered calmly. But hold fire. Commander Vex, options. Vex's form pulsed with rapid calculations. Their ships are more advanced, but they're not designed to fight humans. They expect us to react like Nexarians, logically, predictably. A slight smile crossed Torres's face. Then let's be unpredictable. Lieutenant Wong, plot a micro-jump. Commander Patel, ready the quantum countermeasures we developed. Commander Vex, we'll need your insight on their tactical patterns. What followed was a dance of impossible maneuvers. The Hyperion, despite its massive size, moved like a fighter craft, using minimal quantum jumps to appear at impossible angles. The Ecclesiast ships fired sophisticated quantum weapons designed to disrupt crystalline matrices, highly effective against Nexarian ships, but less so against human engineering. They're trying to herd us away from the Denebola vector, Vex observed as they evaded another barrage. The facility must be there. Elena worked with Vex to modify their quantum countermeasures, creating interference patterns that confused the Ecclesiast's targeting systems. Admiral, we can't keep this up forever. Their weapons are getting more accurate as they adapt. Torres nodded grimly. Then we change the game. Prepare for Operation Deadfall. Operation Deadfall was a desperate gambit, using the Hyperion's quantum sensors to detect structural resonances in nearby space, then firing precisely calibrated graviton bursts to create a temporary wormhole. It was theoretical, untested, and possibly suicidal. "Sir," Elena protested, "the calculations alone would take too long for human computers." Vex interrupted, her form brightening with realization. "But not for an Nexarian quantum matrix working in parallel with your systems." Torres met her gaze. "Can you do it?" "It will strain my matrix to near shattering. But yes, humans are not the only ones who can be unpredictable." As the Ecclesiast's ships closed in for the kill, Vex interfaced directly with the Hyperion systems. Her crystalline form blazed with light as she processed quantum calculations at impossible speeds, working in perfect synchronization with the ship's eye. Reality itself seemed to shudder as the graviton bursts fired in a precise sequence. Space folded, twisted, and for a brief moment, physics itself held its breath. The Hyperion plunged into the artificial wormhole just as the Ecclesiast's weapons converged on their previous position. They emerged in the Denebola void, the wormhole collapsing behind them. Vex's form had dimmed to a barely visible glow, but she remained intact. Before them, hidden in the darkness between stars, waited a structure that defied comprehension. A vast crystalline web that seemed to be woven from spacetime itself. "The Quantum Forge," Vex whispered. As they approached the ancient facility, Elena helped stabilize Vex's weakened matrix. "That was either brilliant or insane," she commented. "The two are often the same," Vex replied, her voice weak, but carrying a hint of very human humor. "Perhaps that is why our species work so well together." Torres studied the massive structure ahead. "Let's hope that cooperation holds. Because something tells me we're going to need both human determination and Nexarian wisdom to face what we find in there." The Hyperion moved cautiously toward the precursor facility, its sensors detecting growing quantum disturbances. They had found what they were looking for, but now came the truly dangerous part: understanding and stopping a weapon that had once threatened to tear reality apart. And somewhere out there, the quantum ecclesiasts were undoubtedly already plotting their next move. Ancient revelations. The precursor facility loomed before them, an impossibly vast lattice of crystalline structures that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. As the Hyperion shuttle approached, Elena felt a peculiar sensation, as if reality itself was becoming less solid. Beside her, Vex's crystalline form flickered with complex patterns of light, responding to the quantum energies that permeated the space around them. "The structure's quantum signature is unlike anything in our records," reported Lieutenant Wong from the pilot's seat. "It's as if it's both there and not there at the same time." "Quantum superposition on a macro scale," Vex observed, her voice carrying harmonics of awe. "My people theorized it was possible, but to actually see it..." She trailed off as her sensors detected something new. "There's a stable region ahead, a pocket of normal spacetime." Admiral Torres, studying the readings from the command station, nodded. "Take us in. But carefully. We have no idea what defenses this place might have." The shuttle glided through the quantum maze, guided by the combined insight of human intuition and Nexarian quantum sensing. They finally reached what appeared to be a docking structure, its crystalline surface reshaping itself to accommodate their vessel as they approached. "It's recognizing us," Elena realized. Or rather, it's recognizing Vex's quantum signature. The facility must be programmed to respond to crystalline life forms. The landing bay they entered seemed to defy conventional geometry, with surfaces that curved in impossible ways and corridors that appeared to lead in all directions simultaneously. As they disembarked, their environment suits automatically adjusted to compensate for the strange quantum fluctuations in the area. "The air is breathable," Torres noted, checking his sensors. "Though I'm not sure air is quite the right word for what we're detecting." They moved deeper into the facility, guided by Vex's ability to interpret the quantum flows around them. The walls seemed to shift and change as they passed, as if the structure was constantly rebuilding itself. Holographic displays in an unknown language flickered to life, responding to their presence. "I can almost understand these," Vex said, her form pulsing with concentration. "The language is encoded in quantum states, similar to our genetic memory. It's like remembering something I never knew." Elena adjusted her quantum scanner, linking it to Vex's crystalline matrix to help process the information. "The facility is powering up. Whatever's causing those quantum fractures out there, this place is responding to it." Suddenly, the entire chamber transformed, becoming a vast control center filled with holographic displays showing the galaxy. Red points of light pulsed across the map, marking the locations of quantum disturbances. "By the first crystal," Vex whispered, her form dimming with horror. "The fractures, they're not random at all. They're forming a pattern, a massive quantum circuit across the galaxy itself." Torres stepped forward, his expression grim. "A circuit for what?" Before Vex could answer, new alerts flashed across the displays. The facility's sensors had detected additional ships entering the system. The quantum ecclesiasts had found them. "Admiral," Elena called out, studying the readings from a nearby console. "The facility's defensive systems are active, but they're not targeting the ecclesiast ships. They're welcoming them." Vex's form pulsed with sudden understanding. No, it can't be. The quantum ecclesiasts, they're not trying to prevent access to this knowledge. They're trying to prevent anyone from interfering with their plan. The truth hit Elena like a physical blow. They've been activating these facilities deliberately. The quantum fractures aren't a weapon being used against us. They're a key, Torres finished, his voice hard. The ecclesiasts are trying to activate something big enough to need the entire galaxy as a power source. The chamber shuddered as the first shots from the ecclesiast's fleet struck the facility's outer layers. But the ancient structure barely noticed, its defenses absorbing the attack while continuing to welcome the attackers as authorized users. "We need to shut this down," Torres ordered. "Vex, can you interface with the control systems?" The crystalline commander moved to what appeared to be a central control node. "Yes, but, Admiral, the quantum signatures of the ecclesiast ships, they're wrong. They're too perfect, too structured." Elena's eyes widened as she processed the implications. "They're not really Nexarian ships at all, are they? They're precursor technology, disguised to look like Nexarian vessels. Which means the real quantum ecclesiasts," Torres began, "are probably dead." Vex finished, her voice carrying harmonics of grief, replaced by quantum constructs designed to continue the precursor's work. No wonder they were so adamant about keeping our people away from this knowledge. We might have recognized what they really were. The facility shuddered again, but this time it wasn't from weapons fire. The quantum circuit spanning the galaxy was becoming more active, feeding power into something hidden within the structure itself. "Whatever they're planning, it's starting," Elena announced, watching as the power readings spiked to impossible levels. "We need to make a decision now. Try to shut it down, or find out what the precursors thought was worth rebuilding the quantum structure of the entire galaxy for," Torres finished. "Commander Vex." The crystalline officer's form pulsed with complex patterns as she interfaced more deeply with the facility's systems. The precursors, they weren't trying to build a weapon. They were trying to save themselves from something they called the void between thoughts, something that devours consciousness itself. New holographic displays activated, showing scenes of an ancient war against something that couldn't quite be seen, only the absence it left behind. Entire civilizations going silent, their quantum signatures simply stopping. They built this network to transform the galaxy itself into a quantum consciousness. Vex continued, her voice trembling with the weight of ancient memories. A mind vast enough to comprehend and combat the void. But it required sacrificing all individual consciousness to create a single, unified quantum being. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. And now their automated systems are trying to complete that plan, regardless of the cost to existing life. Torrid studied the tactical display, watching as more quantum fractures appeared across the galaxy. "How long do we have?" "Minutes," Vex answered. "Once the quantum circuit is complete, the transformation will begin. Every conscious being in the galaxy will be absorbed into the new quantum matrix." The Admiral's face hardened with determination. "Then we have minutes to find another way. Because humanity didn't come this far to lose its soul to someone else's solution." "Commander Patel, Commander Vex, we need options. Now." Unity's dawn. Time seemed to crystallize in the ancient control chamber as Admiral Torres, Commander Patel, and Commander Vex raced against the inevitable. Outside, the false ecclesiast ships continued their assault, not to destroy the facility but to prevent any interference with the activation sequence. The galaxy-wide quantum circuit was nearly complete, each new fracture bringing them closer to a forced transcendence that would end individual consciousness forever. "The precursor's solution is elegant but flawed," Vex announced, her crystalline form pulsing rapidly as she processed vast amounts of quantum data. They assumed unity required the erasure of individuality. A very non-human assumption. Elena's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. "You're right. Humans have always found strength in diversity, in the combination of different perspectives." Her fingers flew across the control surfaces, interfacing with Vex's quantum matrices. "What if instead of forcing unity, we created harmony?" Torres watched the tactical displays as more quantum fractures appeared across space. "Whatever you're thinking, make it fast. We have less than 10 minutes before the circuit completes." Elena and Vex worked in perfect synchronization, human intuition merging with Nexarian quantum manipulation. "The precursors built this network to create a single quantum consciousness," Elena explained. "But what if we reprogrammed it to create a quantum network instead? A way for consciousness to remain individual but connected. Like a quantum internet of minds," Torres mused. "But can it still achieve what the precursors needed? Can it still protect against this void between thoughts?" "Unity does not require uniformity," Vex responded, her form brightening with revelation. "In fact, diversity makes any system more robust. The void consumes individual consciousness, but a network of linked but distinct minds would be far harder to devour." The facility shuddered as another blast from the false ecclesiast ship struck home. Warning signals flashed across the displays. The quantum circuit was at 95% completion. "We'll need to modify the entire network," Elena said, her voice tense with concentration. "Change its fundamental programming while it's still forming." "Commander Vex, can your crystalline matrix handle that level of quantum manipulation?" "Not alone," Vex admitted. "But perhaps, Admiral, remember how my people stored genetic memory in our quantum matrices? What if we use the Hyperion's quantum core to amplify that ability? We could essentially overwrite the precursor programming with a new pattern." Torres nodded grimly. "Do it. Lieutenant Wong, signal the Hyperion. Have them divert all power to the quantum core and prepare for emergency quantum coupling." The next few minutes were a blur of desperate activity. The Hyperion moved into position, its advanced quantum core linking with the facility's systems through Vex's crystalline form. Elena worked to modify the programming, transforming the precursor's forced unity into a voluntary network. "Circuit at 98%, Elena announced, her voice tense. "Starting quantum override. Now." Vex's form blazed with impossible brightness as she channeled power from both the Hyperion and the facility. The chamber filled with shifting patterns of light as new quantum patterns rippled outward through the galactic circuit. "The false ecclesiast ships," Torres reported, watching the tactical display. "They're changing." Through the facility's windows, they could see the attacking vessels transforming. Their false crystalline structures dissolved, revealing their true nature, ancient precursor automatons, their quantum matrices now exposed to the new programming spreading through the network. "They're trying to resist," Vex gasped, her form flickering with strain. "The original precursor directives are fighting back." Elena's hands flew across the controls, adjusting the quantum harmonics. "Focus on the key frequencies. We don't need to defeat their programming. We just need to give it a choice." The chamber erupted with quantum energy as the circuit reached completion. For a moment, all of reality seemed to hold its breath. Then, like a wave of crystalline light, the new quantum network spread across the galaxy. But instead of forcibly absorbing consciousness, it offered connection. In that moment, every sentient being in the galaxy felt it. A gentle touch of awareness, an offer of unity that respected diversity. Even the automated precursor ships paused as their ancient programming encountered a new possibility. "It's done," Vex announced, her form dimming to a sustainable glow. "The network is established, but modified. Every consciousness remains distinct, but with the ability to connect, to share, to unite when needed." Through the facility's sensors, they watched as the quantum fractures transformed, becoming stable nodes in the new network. The false ecclesiast ships, their original purpose now fulfilled in an unexpected way, powered down, becoming dormant but not destroyed. "The void between thoughts," Torres asked. "Will this be enough to stop it?" "Better," Elena replied, studying the readings. "We've created something that can adapt to it. Every connected mind adds its own unique perspective, making the network stronger and more resilient. Unity through diversity, the most human solution possible." "And perhaps," Vex added, her voice carrying harmonics of hope, "the most Nexarian solution as well. Our crystalline nature has always allowed us to store and share memories. Now we can do so across species, across the galaxy itself." As the quantum energy settled into its new pattern, the three commanders stood together, watching the birth of a new era. The Hyperion's crew reported similar scenes across known space, species discovering their new ability to connect while maintaining their unique identities. "So," Torres said with a slight smile, "I suppose this makes diplomatic relations a bit more interesting." "Indeed," Vex agreed, her form pulsing with what they had learned was amusement. Though perhaps that was always the precursor's true legacy, not the technology they left behind, but the opportunity for different species to come together and find better solutions than they could imagine. Elena looked out at the transformed facility, now a hub in the galaxy-wide quantum network. "You know, humanity always dreamed of reaching the stars, of making contact with other species. But I don't think anyone imagined that when we finally faced our greatest challenge, the solution would be learning to connect while celebrating our differences." The Hyperion's quantum core hummed in harmony with the facility as the new network stabilized. Across the galaxy, countless species were discovering their new connection, learning to share knowledge and experience while maintaining their unique perspectives. It wasn't the transcendence the precursors had planned, but perhaps it was something better. A future where unity didn't require uniformity, where diversity became strength, and where the combined wisdom of all species could face whatever threats the universe held. As they prepared to return to the Hyperion, Torres took one last look at the ancient facility. "Send word to Earth Command and the Nexarian High Council. Tell them that humanity and the Nexarians have found something better than victory. We've found understanding."